Are you ready to perform at your highest potential? Thank you for joining this GP Strategies webinar, where we'll explore best practices and innovative insights to help you and your organization improve performance.
Hello, and welcome to this GP Strategies pre-recorded on-demand webinar, Deploying Industrial Training Equipment for Better Hands-on Training, a product showcase with your presenter, Steve Harnden. Steve has worked as a maintenance training instructor and technical writer for GP Strategies since 1998. Before joining us, he served as an avionics technician on F-111 aircraft for the U.S. Air Force. Aside from his aviation expertise, Steve has supported clients across multiple industries, including space, transportation, power generation, and steel. Thank you for joining us. I hope you find this on-demand experience both informative and valuable. Let's dive right in. Steve?
Well, thanks for joining me today for a discussion about how we utilize training equipment to supplement some of the classes that GP Strategies teaches. So these are the topics we're going to talk about for the next few minutes. First thing is equipment for hands-on training. These are some of the training stations that we build in-house, we use with our craft skills courseware. And then a little bit about best practices for training that I will roll into a discussion about how GP Strategies can help you develop a training program, whether that would be a one-off or a small one-time class for just a few students, or if you've got a large program that's rolling out across multiple sites. We'll talk about the approach we use to develop training programs for any application. So the stations that we're going to look at here today are the ones we build in-house. Now, we have training stations to support all of our craft skills courseware, but the ones that we're going to look at here are the ones that we design and build in-house. Aristotle believed in a hands-on approach to training, and that's the approach that GP Strategy has taken over the last 50 years in business. So here's the first training station. We call it the troubleshooting trainer or the electrical troubleshooting trainer. We designed and built this one to teach a systematic approach to troubleshooting electrical problems through relay-based motor control circuits that the students design and build. This also happens to go along with our most popular class, which is motor controls and troubleshooting. We also designed the trainer here to teach variable frequency drives. Now you see one over here on the right-hand side. And we also have a programmable logic controller down at the bottom. Now, both of those are Allen Bradley components. So with the PLC, we teach Studio 5000, and that's a PowerFlex 70 that we attach to the trainer. So it does help us teach drives, and we can also teach networking because we can put that drive on a network with the programmable logic controller and teach a basic approach to networking. Now, if you look at the trainer, there's some switches and push buttons up here at the top, indicators. There are control relays, contactors right in here. We have motor starters, timers. But down here at the bottom, this is where we have the real advantage in using this trainer. Behind that panel are about 100 switches through which we can put in faults to any student or any circuit that a student would build, where we can simulate failed components. So that's whatever circuit that the student could build, whether we're using the relays, the VFDs, or the programmable logic controllers, we can insert faults into everything. And that's a real advantage here because when we teach the class, the motor controls and troubleshooting class, we bring up a systematic way of diagnosing faults. And this just helps us to reinforce the concepts that we teach in the class. So you'll see here in the video that all of the components are standard industrial type. It's the things that maintenance workers would see in the field or operate every day. It's also double-sided. I didn't mention this on the first slide. It's double-sided, so everything that you see on the front side of the panel is duplicated on the back side. There's also a three-phase motor in the bottom of each panel or in the bottom of each side. And we get three-phase power from the phase converter that's attached to the side of the cabinet. Here's the next one. This is our valve training station. We use this to teach students how to disassemble valves, reassemble them, inspect, and do a little bit of troubleshooting. So the standard version of this trainer comes with a globe valve, a gate valve. There's a safety valve right here that you see in the front. We also have a limit torque operator, that's the blue one in the back, and a Fisher pneumatic operator in the back. Now, those are operable. We do need power, 120 volts, to supply power to each of those devices, but everything is adjustable when we have power to use the limit torque or the pneumatic operator. This is our mechanical trainer. We also call it the pump trainer. We have two parts. The first part here is the toolbox with a functional pump and a motor. Now, if you want to demonstrate how the pump actually works, we have a reservoir that we fill with water, which can be attached to the pump. If that's the case, then we have a variable frequency drive up here that we use to attach to the motor to actually make the whole system run. Now, this is not a motor theory class. We don't teach how motors come apart or operate with this trainer. Motor controls and motor theory are separate courses. This is strictly mechanical. So we'll teach primarily precision alignment with this trainer, whether it's laser alignment or mechanical types of alignment. That's the primary use for this trainer. But we can also teach pump rebuilding and repair and mechanical seals. We can also teach belt drives and chain drives. The motor and the pump are on movable platforms that we can rotate 90 degrees and attach either a pulley or a sprocket to each of the shafts on the motor or the pump and demonstrate chain drives or belt drive operation. Here's a little bit about what's in the trainer. There we go. It comes complete with everything that you would need to disassemble the pump or perform an alignment. Those are Starrett gauges that you see we use with the trainer for mechanical alignment. We also include the wrenches, the drive sets, screwdrivers, bearings, gears, shims, everything that you would need to disassemble the pump, repair the system, and put it all back together again. These are the hydraulics and pneumatics trainers. The hydraulics trainer is on the slide or the photo above, and the pneumatics trainer is below. Now, they are approximately the same size. Each one is mounted on a movable platform. The hydraulics trainer is used to teach students how to design, build, and troubleshoot hydraulic circuits. And the pneumatics trainer is the same thing, except that we use pneumatics to understand the concepts of valve operation and control. Now, what you don't see on the top slide is a hydraulic pump that we use to supply pressure to the hydraulic components, and there's a compressor that's associated with the pneumatics trainer on the bottom. But the hydraulics trainer comes with directional valves, proportional valves, various regulators, cylinders, limit switches. It also comes along with this is also included with the pneumatics trainer, a programmable logic controller behind each of these panels. So if a client is interested in pneumatic or automatic valve control, we can do that as well. The inputs and outputs to the PLC are right here through these jacks on the front panel. But it does allow us to teach automated valve control in addition to manual control of either the pneumatic or the hydraulic circuits. The last one we'll look at, this is our process controls trainer. It introduces the fundamentals of process controls to students, but we can also teach various types of instrumentation, how to calibrate the instrumentation, process control, open loop control, closed loop control, and how to tune process control loops. We use a water system. There's a reservoir in the back along with a pump that we use to either control the level or the flow rate into the cylinder that you see here on the front panel. And all of the gauges or the transmitters that we use are HART compatible smart transmitters. So process control is achieved using the touch screen controller up in the upper right corner of the trainer. There's also a variable frequency drive right there that we use to control the motor speed for flow and level control. And that's a differential pressure transmitter that we use for calibrations. And that's also a HART compatible smart transmitter. All right, a little bit about training best practices, just a couple of slides, and then I will roll this discussion into how GP uses best practices to build training programs. We know from experience that every organization is different and it has its own needs. The organization has needs, the learners have their own specific needs, and training programs need to be tailored to fit the needs and responsibilities of an individual workforce. So what do the best practices in training provide to an organization? Well, ideally, it's to reduce the time it takes to get a technician to proficiency. So a couple things to understand here. One is, what's the end result of the program? What are you trying to accomplish with the training? What goal are you trying to reach? What problems are you trying to solve? And what does success look like? That's the end state. But you also need to understand what the status is, or what the status of or state of the workforce exists today. So between the assessment process of the current state of the workforce and the end state, we can define a training program that addresses the gaps in skills. Couple other things to understand. We've noticed through the years that there is a tendency to have one individual handle all of the calls. So whether you're an electrician, you're probably going to take a mechanical class or a mechanical course before we call someone in. Or if you're a mechanic, you're going to have to take a look at an electrical problem before we call an electrician back into the site. So when you are moving towards a multi-craft technician role, it's important to train those technicians to understand what the fundamentals are. It's really difficult to bring a student through a motor controls class and troubleshooting if that individual has never even picked up a voltmeter before to do any type of measurement. So it's one of the things to understand when we're dealing with best practices is understand where your workforce is and what you are trying to accomplish. So that if you are taking a technician from mechanic to electrician, that you address the fundamentals of what an electrician would actually need to know. All right, so how can GP strategies help you develop a training program? We have courseware to cover a broad portfolio of solutions depending on what the needs are. So our course catalog for craft skills has well over 80 courses that are associated with the areas of competencies that you see on the screen here. We have courseware that's designed specifically to be used with the equipment that you just saw in the first part of the program. But we have other courses that require, like, for example, basic electricity, that require different stations. Well, we bring all that to the table and bring it to the site when we're teaching those courses. It's just we don't design those things in-house. We also work with you on employee engagement, coaching, mentoring, and leadership development. So based on our experience in industry, we can help develop a pathway to competency that is tailored to suit the organization and the staff that's being trained. Competency assessments. I did a blog post on this not too long ago about what to expect when a consultant comes to your site to help define your training needs. So just a couple of points from that post. Have an idea of what the goal of your training efforts are. Now, this goes back to best practices and understanding why you're implementing a training program. Think about this question because I'm going to ask this question when I get to the site. Upon completion of this training, you will be able to do what? And filling in the blanks is something that an organization needs to be able to do. You don't need me as the consultant to answer that question for you, but that's something that has to come from the organization internally. So the last thing I need to do is tell a client what they need before I actually hear anything from the client about end goals. So eventually I'll provide you with a list of recommendations, but that's based on conducting assessments to determine where the employee workforce currently, what the status is of the employee workforce. That involves conducting either a knowledge assessment or a job task analysis or even skill performance measures. Once we know all of that, then we can develop a report that's tailored to meet the needs of the organization. One of the other things that you get from that is you know where someone is already proficient, and so you don't have to train someone in basic electricity if that person is already quite familiar. If you have an electrician that's been in the field for 30 years, you already know the things that we would teach in a class. So that helps an organization target the resources to where they will do the most good. A couple other points. Know that a change management process is critical to the success of any training program, especially the large ones where you have a high dollar investment in training. I've seen some very expensive programs fail because there wasn't a change management process that had been implemented. The management, upper management wasn't involved. The trainees didn't know why they were being trained, and things like that it doesn't help the efficacy of the training program towards success. And then one more thing, consider a return on investment study, especially if you're investing substantial resources in a training program. Maybe not so much in a smaller, maybe a one-off class, but if you're investing a good deal of resources into a large training program that's being implemented across multiple sites, it's something to consider so that you actually see a return on the dollars that you've invested in the training program. So once a program is defined, well, where does the training actually occur? You have a few different options. We have a training center in Tampa, which is where I'm currently recording this broadcast. Very nice, large facility. And it's also something to consider if you are in the northern tier of states in the dead of winter. Well, maybe you would like to bring your students down to Florida and conduct the training at our training center. It is something to consider because our weather is much nicer in the wintertime than it is in other areas of the country. Generally, what we do, though, is bring all of the equipment and the instructor to the client site. And that includes all of the student manuals, the lab guides, assessments, the PowerPoint presentations that we use to do the classroom part of the instruction. Everything that's needed for the course, we bring along with us to your site. Another alternative is having a client build their own training stations. Now, if this takes some consideration, if you have a number of spares and the floor space to put the equipment, well, that's something to consider, that you build your own training stations and use those for the training. Optionally, we can help you build those or do a train the trainer session for your trainers in-house. So we make it easy for a client to access our courseware that goes along with the hardware that we provide because we have licensing agreements. Our courseware includes all of the student guides, instructor presentations, all of the assessment materials, and the lab guides. And we can also provide train the trainer sessions as an option. And if a client is building their own training stations, we can help with that in developing custom materials to go along with the solution that you're developing. This could be in the form of operator manuals, technical descriptions, or even procedures. So I think what GP really provides is the ability to help clients attract, develop, and retain top talent. It comes from our ability to integrate consulting services, learning services, and a lot of the different technologies that we bring to the table into a comprehensive solution that's tailored to meet the specific needs of a client. It's important to know that GP is a learning partner, not just a training company. We're basically a one-stop shop for our clients. We will be with you from start to finish, from kickoff to closeout. Everything we do is designed to meet the specific needs of our clients so that we can bring their programs to a successful conclusion.
Thank you, Steve, for this very informative presentation. Be sure to visit GP Strategy's website to view upcoming live webinars or our Anywhere, Anytime, on-demand webinars.
This webinar was brought to you by GP Strategies. Together, we help organizations transform through their people. You can access more webinars or download additional resources by visiting the GP Strategies Resource Library. The link is on your screen and in the description.